All right. Hello, everybody. Let me just see if I can add. Let's see if I can add. Okay. Just bear with us 1 minute. We'll see if this is better. Okay. Now, just a second. Just trying to see how do I add people on. If you can see me and hear me, just can you put something in the chat just so I can know that you're there? Okay, here we go. All right, we just gonna do it the old-fashioned way.
Yes, we are, and make it do what it do.
Make it do what it do. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
And look, we might want to start over just so you have it all in one place and we can delete that.
Exactly. Okay. Yes, that is a good idea. All right. Okay, so we're gonna rewind. Welcome to another episode of Relationship Talks. I am your host, Siobhan Carter, the You Relationship Coach. And what that means is I am passionate about all things concerning relationships, especially the relationship that you have with yourself. And tonight, I have the pleasure of being joined by my brother and my sister. They are my family, Mr. Gregory Richardson and Dr. Trenace Richardson.
Hey,
So,
hey.
hey, y'all.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, formally, Greg is the founder of Real Men International. Trenace is the founder of Real Women Rock. And she's also the founder of Leading with Soul. So they do some amazing things, and they also have come together and founded Real Relationships. So they do some amazing things. So I'm so glad to have them on. We have been in community with each other for over 7 years now, and I have the pleasure of doing life with Trenace, my sister. So I'm just thankful that y'all are on with us.
And we share the same level of respect and admiration for you. So here's to you.
Thank you.
Love you, sister. So glad to be here and ready. I love coming to these. I mentioned it in the other one. These are juicy talks. So I'm looking forward to getting juicy with you in here.
Yes, because it's going to be good. So tonight we're talking about being happily married. So I talk about all types of relationship stuff. And I just wanted to celebrate marriage tonight. Let's talk about love and the yummy goodness, as our friend, our sister Neferteria calls it, yummy goodness of marriage. And then also the downs. You know, it's not all peaches and cream. So we're going to talk about some of the ups and downs as well.
Mm-hmm.
But just also to encourage people who desire to be married.
Mm-hmm.
Be married, and just share your story so that they can hear what you have gone through over, the 20 plus years that you have been married. So we start from the beginning.
Okay.
How did you all meet? Tell us about your story.
Here we go.
So in a nutshell, we met through my very best friend, my childhood friend,
was good this
Liz.
time.
So shout out to Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Shout out to Liz. She basically introduced me to Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
And we met on June 24th. We met on Nikki's birthday.
Wow. Happy birthday, Pat.
And then 60 days later, I told her I was going to marry her. And we got married September 24th of the same year. So we met and married within 90 days. I wouldn't recommend anybody doing that. But that's just our story. And the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter how long you know someone. It can be 3 months, 3 days, or 3 years. When you get into a committed relationship, you're gonna have your trials and your tests and your tribulations. You have your ups and your downs.
Yeah.
And it's going to require work regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. My version of that story is a little longer. Just a tad bit.
Yeah.
Because she told me about him before we met on my birthday. I spent the weekend at her house because we both had graduated from Howard Divinity School. We were really good friends. Shout out to Liz. And I was telling her I was moving to Virginia Tech and starting my doctoral program. I was, cutting ties here, relationship ties. I was ready to move. And she was like, I've got somebody I want you to meet. And I was like, who? And so she said, she described him, and she had talked about him before in passing. And I was like, wait a minute. He was at your initial sermon not too long ago with somebody. She was like, oh, don't pay any of that mind.
She loved telling this part. She loved telling this
Don't pay that person no mind. Don't pay that person no mind. So I was like, okay. I was like, I remember. Okay, so we met on my birthday and really hit it off. And come to find out, I was telling him, I've seen you before. I saw you at the initial sermon. And he was like, I don't remember seeing you. I was like, well, I sang there. I sang a solo there. Did any of that stick out? He was like, no, I don't remember you there. Okay.
So, Greg, you didn't remember her? You didn't, or you were just saying that?
You know what? I was just saying that. That's exactly what it was, Siobhan. I was just saying it. So we're going to change this narrative now. You know what? I was just saying that.
Lord have mercy. Yeah, 21 years later, he was just saying that. That's hilarious. So, yeah, that's what had happened.
Okay. So y'all, you met in June, married in September, 90 days. So how did you know? Did you know when you met each other and you started communicating that, yes, this is the one? Or how did you come to know that this is who you wanted to be with?
So, so here's the truth for me. For me, I said to myself, I wanted to get married by the time I turned 30. And I said, the next good woman that I meet, I'm going to marry. It was just some basic things, some basic characteristics and traits that I was looking for, right? So she checked the box for those.
Wow.
And I told her around day 45, around the 60th day, to check me out because I was going to propose to her on Christmas. And basically, if I wasn't the type of dude she was interested in marrying, then this wasn't really going to work because I was looking for a wife.
Wow.
And then she was like, well, you won't know unless you ask. So instead of waiting until Christmas, I decided we both had talked and decided to get married. And the day that we chose was the 24th, since we met on the 24th.
Yep. So we got married exactly 90 days from the day we met.
Look at it. September 24th.
Yep. And I'll say for me, I really loved his confidence. He's fine as all get out. I was loving that. I was loving that. I was like, ooh, them pink lips, Lord. And so that was wonderful. He was just so confident and clear about what he wanted. It was just very attractive about his own goals, and then just being really clear about what he wanted in a relationship. That he literally was like, even before that, he was very honest about his relationship status and what was going on in his life. So that was very attractive to me. And then as I got to know him, he's such a family guy that was really attractive. I could see the connection that he had with his family members, and I love that. Oh, and I should probably mention, just for the real of your show. So it didn't hurt any at all that he was very attractive, and I really was trying. Both of us were trying to please the Lord, and so I needed to get married as soon as possible.
Right. What did they get married?
Siobhan, in full transparency and being completely honest. Like, I wish we had more time so I could really unpack that. Yeah. Because some people get married for that, and honestly, that's the wrong reason. Yep. Like, real talk.
Yep.
Like, real talk. Yep. That is the wrong reason to get married. And I know some people watching who may be really saved, really saved, may feel like, you know what? Well, it's better to marry than to burn.
Right. And it's like,
but some you get married, then you get divorced because you don't want to burn. So
that's the truth. But that's the truth. And it's like you said, that can be a whole nother conversation because people feel, and that's where the pressure comes in. I have to make this decision right away, and the fear of, something's going to happen to me. You know, God is not going to be pleased if I don't do it. So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yep.
And honestly, and you know what? Just since you said that, that's just a mirror reflection of the dysfunction of organized religion, right?
Yeah.
Because the truth is, we get those beliefs, and we get all of that from church.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is really a sad piece in itself, but
it's sad. Yep. It is really sad.
And it would be different if that scenario that is proposed and kind of imposed upon us caused long-term marriages to work.
Yeah.
There's just as much divorce in churches as there are outside of them. So
right.
Anyway.
Absolutely. So it has to be something else. You know, it has to be the relationship aspect that we're not taught how to cultivate, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a whole lot to say about that.
So one of the things that I find interesting, and I ask men about this all the time, and I think I had a question either last week or this week about when is a man, at what point in a man's life does he decide that he wants to settle down? So Greg, it sounds like at 30 you had made that decision. You said, I'm ready to settle down. Like, what was going on? How did you know? Did you always have that in your mind at 30?
So honestly, for me personally, it was. For me, I said, you know what? You know, in my 20s, I was hotter than July 4th. I was doing my thing, having fun. You know, and I dated a couple of women in a couple of serious relationships, sort of. But I always knew I wanted to be married. I think what fuels that, Siobhan, is the way that you grow up, what you're exposed to, your environment, and the context in which you experience family. If you grow up and you don't see a husband and a wife, a mommy and a daddy, and you don't see a family dynamic, then you have, for me, seeing that, it was easy to want it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I've always known that I definitely wanted to get married.
Yeah.
If Nikki didn't wake up tomorrow, God forbid, if she didn't wake up tomorrow, I'd go to church. Here we go. Her family get mad at me because I think I'd be married like probably, you know, within a year. within a year, I would definitely do it again. I personally, I subscribe to the union, to the concept, to the principles, the precepts of marriage, the sanctity of marriage. I personally, as a man, I subscribe to that, and I appreciate and value the family, husband-wife dynamic. And truth be told, I mean, I'm not that saved, right? But truth be told, you can get that same dynamic and not be married.
Right.
Like truth be told. But for me, right, I'm just telling you my narrative and my story.
Got it. Okay. And so, okay, I'm just going to go to it because since
we're here now.
We're already here because I hear men talk about this all the time, where they don't see the value in marriage, where it's more beneficial for the man or for the woman to be married as opposed to the man. So since we're talking about, you know, your value system and how you saw marriage, what do you think that's about from both of your perspectives? What do you think that's about when people say, you know, we don't value marriage anymore?
Yeah, you want to start? Go ahead.
So I'll just say, and then I'll let Nikki chime in right out the gate. I personally think that's game. I think the brothers who talk that have skills, have experiences, may be witty, intelligent, articulate, and can use words and make points, basically to gain for the sake of their benefit, right?
Okay.
And I mean, you know, I'm on the board of Parker Brothers, so all these players out here, they got to get my stamp on it. I know game, right? I won't always say, right? So I honestly, that's just like being very honest. I don't, when people say that, because this conversation can go two ways, right? It can go two ways, depending on the man's experiences. So you got to have me on your show with some men who feel that way, so that man to man, iron sharpen iron, so that we can have a organic, transparent conversation, right?
Yeah.
Woo, that would be a good one. Good
right, because we already have somebody, a brother, saying he disagrees with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Dialogue.
Yeah. And I think I don't, because you asked about, you know, from a both perspectives, because I'm not a man, I can't speak for a man, but for women and men who have that perspective, I think it makes a difference when you see so many marriages are not successful. When you look around and you think, well, that didn't work for them, and it didn't work for my parents and my grandparents, so why would I engage in that? The difference between Greg and I is, you know, my mom and my dad have been married more than once, and his mom and dad were together until his mother passed away, over 40 years. And so we came with a different perspective of marriage, because he saw that in his home a long time. And so I think it's just the precedent set that we have. There's a whole lot of options available now, because we see a whole lot of people used to stay together just because they were supposed to stay together, and they were unhappy, and they were, you know, two ships passing in the night. Some people were committed and loving, and, you know, and working together, and team players. But I know that a lot of long-term, older, traditional relationships, you know, weren't happy. And so I think
the flip side of that, right, in that same context, during that time frame, women got married a whole lot earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, you know, you was in your 30s and 40s and wasn't getting married.
Yeah.
And the narrative that Nikki is telling, back then, it was the thing. Marriage was the correct thing to do.
Right. And so what I'm saying is, you see options now, and you're like, I can do something different than what my parents did, or what my grandparents did. So I think that's where,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
So at the end of the day, we really honestly believe, do you, boo? You know, like you just have to be honest with yourself about, is it working for you? Like, is that working for you?
And here's the real deal, Siobhan. The real deal is this, right? Marriage is just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Right? You can be committed and devoted to someone that you don't marry.
Yep.
Right?
It's true.
Now, people say it's just a piece of paper, but the flip side is money is paper. Right? Like, it's some paper right here. I'd rather have money than have this. They both paper.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my point is, that's why it's a matter of preference. And at the top of the hour, I was saying, to each his own, right? There's nothing wrong, because of my experiences, the way I was brought up, the person that I'm designed and created and purposed to be. For me, I know what I'm supposed to do. Right? So if the brother
gotta know themselves.
The brother who said he disagreed, right? For him, his narrative could be, you know what? That's not for me. And you know what? I hear you.
Yep.
But now to digress from that and to say that there's no benefit in it. Well, tax write-off, there's so many more benefits that you get when you are married, just technically speaking.
And I think the flip side of that is, whatever perspective you have of marriage, that feeds into what you end up deciding to do in your own life. And so to have a more positive perspective of marriage may cause you to want and desire that. So
yeah, that is so true. I really do believe, like you said, it really what helps is how you saw it, you know, growing up. If there were marriages around, then of course that would shape your perspective and just help you to believe in marriage. I would, you know, Oh yeah, yeah. So I totally understand that, but I appreciate the perspective that you gave, because I hear it, a lot, and for a lot of men, they've just gone through. Some of them may have been married before, and it's just like, I don't want to do that again. You know what I mean? So it could be a lot of narratives that lead to having that perspective.
Yeah. And if a man's been married, and let's say he in his 60s and he get a divorce, or he in his 50s and he just retired, I can understand just financially, right, why he wouldn't want to get married again, right?
Right.
Just from economics, that makes sense,
Yeah. I remember my grandmother, she was like, after my grandfather passed away, she said she wasn't getting married again. She wasn't going to let no man take her pension. That's what she said.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Oh, my
That's
goodness.
right.
Too funny.
Checking my stuff. And the older we get as women, I think the more honest we get and feel, men and women probably. But
Absolutely. So while we're talking about marriage, you have been married, you said 22 years?
21. This year will be 22.
This year will be 22. Wow. So how would you describe your marriage journey over these almost 22 years?
Ooh, that's a good one.
So you know what? I think you said it in the way you framed the question. It's a journey.
Yeah.
It is a journey.
Yeah.
All relationships are journeys. You don't arrive anywhere.
Yeah.
Just like your relationship with Christ. It's a journey. Right. I think oftentimes a lot of people go through trials and tribulations in the same way when you're not married. You go through trials and tribulations when you're not married. You might just say, I'm going to break up with that person.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Out. Peace. Right. And in marriages, people do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, for me, all relationships boil down to a choice. For me, all relationships, married, dating, single, engaged, if you're in a relationship with a person, at the end of the day, the quality of that relationship is embedded in your choice.
Yeah.
You have the choice to choose it.
Yeah.
Some people just stop.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I'll describe, in addition to what Greg said about the journey itself, I think over 21 years, I would describe earlier years as maybe a roller coaster ride, like woo and on, really like highs and lows.
Not a roller coaster, more like a car, like a Tesla car.
Here we go.
That's on the highway, and the driver is asleep, and that dude's about to hit a car or hit a tree. But run into something.
But no, I was about to compare the latter years to something else. You're a nuthead. So the first part of it, all of what he said and what I said, honestly, the hills and the valleys, because we can't speak for anybody else, but for us and from what we've heard from other people, because we got married so early, at some point, year one, even in year two, we like, who are you? No, who are you? Like, so we were really just still getting to know each other, and still figuring each other out and how we were going to be in there. And then in later years, I would call it more like, he has a Corvette. I would call it more like a Corvette drive on a Sunday. Sometimes we just zoom in real fast. Sometimes if the weather's cold, we got to put the top down, the top on. And if the weather's nice, we take it off. I really just feel like we are figuring it out and working through it, learning how to fight fair, like learning how to communicate more effectively, conflict resolution. Just really, it's evening out just a bit. Would you agree?
Yeah, and forums like this really help, right? To pull back the curtain a little bit, so people can see some real stuff, because oftentimes we don't get this, right? These are the forms that men and women need, so that they can see, you know what? That marriage is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Marriage is not a bad thing.
It's
work.
It's work, because that's a good word. That's a good word, because when we first got married, we didn't know how much work it was going to be, but work because it's two different people coming together to live together every day.
And here's an eye opener: every relationship you have is work.
Yeah.
What relationship you got with whoever, your girlfriend, your close friend, your coworker, your girl, I mean, whoever it is, all relationships require work.
So can you break that down for us? Like I hear that a lot, and some people are like, well, what is work? What does that even mean? So when you say work,
so just imagine if you were doing what you were purposed to do. If marriage is work, what if you were working in your dream job? Now it don't even seem like work, right? Talk about hitting that sweet spot. Entrepreneurs doing what they were created to do. If marriage is work and you're doing what you were created and purposed to do, it could be fun.
So after the flip side of that, there are times when marriage feels like a 9 to 9 job,
graveyard job,
a graveyard shift job that you
working in the graveyard.
Yep, that you don't that you don't want to go to. When I say work, I mean compromise is real, because you can't just decide I'm gonna do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it, however I want to do it.
Well, you could do that, but what that yields when you look at output,
right?
You know, what the quality that you get from that.
Yeah. So that's one. Compromise is really important work. Conflict resolution, because we come from two different orientations and backgrounds, his way of dealing with conflict and my way of dealing with conflict are different. So for me, I'm loud. I'm wonderfully loud.
Are you really?
I really am loud. And so I would be ready to communicate loudly about whatever call it heated fellowship, whatever you want to call it. I was ready to do that. That wasn't his forte, but he learned to go tat to tat with me as far as raising the voice and stuff. But in addition to that, his thing was, you know, sometimes it would just be nice if you said okay, like if you just said you understood, if you got it.
I think Nikki, at one point, Nikki thought I was the George Washington University, because she did a dissertation in her PhD. So I used to tell her, listen, I don't need another dissertation. You already did that once. And here's the truth. For all of the women that are watching, I'm telling you, this is so true.
Yeah.
If you can learn how to find moments to say, okay, there is so much power. There is so much power in the words okay.
And honestly, he would do it, right? He would practice what he preaches. But when he would say okay, I'd be like, come on, so you just gonna say okay? We're not gonna talk about this? Like, I'm ready to talk. So so communication, compromise, I really just think when who I am, I'm bringing that to the table, and I'm expecting it to be easy because I love this person. And it's not easy because I love this person. It's not easy, period, because we're two different people coming together.
When you look at people getting, she was 25, she was turning 25, I was turning 30. When we got married, I had a daughter who was just turning 3. Then she was starting her PhD, right? On top of all of that, we end up having another child, right? So we're both growing and developing into the men and women and the husband and the wife that we're going to be. Changing, right? So, I mean, what she didn't talk about, like, so we talked about, you said communicate, sex. It's so many things that you have to talk about and be transparent and be organic, to be truthful for how you really feel.
How we both spend money, the differences between how we spend money. It's work because you're trying to do life with somebody else, and you have to make decisions together.
And ultimately, what worked for me and Nikki may not work for somebody else. So just know, like, if you are engaged or about to be married, don't let anybody define what should work for you in your relationship. That's for you two as man and woman, or that's for the couple to determine.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because there may be some people who are watching and see, oh, you've been married 21 years, going on 2 years, and you see the love and you see the smiles and the joking and that kind of stuff. And people desire what you have right now without understanding it took some things to get to this point. So what would you say, especially in social media where we have people just watching a snapshot of other people's lives, desiring and coveting that, what would you say to those people who say, oh, I want what they have?
So if you, this is a true thing across the board, whether you're looking at somebody that's married or somebody that's rich or somebody that's famous. When you say, I want that, what you're saying is, I want that person's hardships. I want that person's heartache. I want that person's pain. The things, the abuse that whatever they have, because all of those things have gotten them to wherever you're looking at right now. And so if you want that, you want all of that stuff that comes with it. In marriage specifically, if you want to be able to sit by somebody after 21 years and still be able to smile and, hug up and all that kind of stuff, then you want to learn about what you're saying is, I want to learn about my own weaknesses. I want to learn about my own issues, because marriage is a big fat mirror. It will just continue showing you. And in order to stay married, you've got to turn, like, you're not the only one in your spouse is not the only one in the relationship. It can't be all them. Like, whatever your issues are, it can't be all them. Not all them. So there's got to.
She preaching. I'm about ready to give up. Where's my wallet?
You're so silly. but it's true. It
That's
can't.
True,
so
right.
so if you want marriage, you have to be willing to sacrifice. Pick your battles. That's something big. We decide what are the battles. So when I come to Greg, or when he comes to me and say, okay, we got to talk about this one. There's 10 other things we chose not to talk about that we let fly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That are not as big a deal to us.
And it takes time to get to the place where you can say, you know what, this is not worth arguing.
Right.
So when Nikki said those 10 other things that we didn't bring up, if you don't make the investment in the commitment to put in the time, you don't get there.
Yeah.
You got to put in the time to get there. That's why it's true positive that all relationships are choices.
Yeah.
They're all choices.
Yeah.
And you have to draw your line in the sand, right? We all have our deal breakers. I mean, if we have more time, we could frame out a whole lot of the big rocks in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
I mean, communication, conflict resolution, sex, money, religious beliefs, how you think the kids should be raised, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of stuff. And at the end of the day, right, to your question, for me, my answer would be, it all boils down to, what are your dreams, goals, and aspirations for yourself? Because if you don't know what your dreams are and your goals are for yourself, how can you have any relationship goals?
Yeah, you'll just say you want whatever you see.
That right.
Yeah.
So I want to check in. It is 9 o'clock. Do you all have a few more minutes just for like?
Yeah, okay. We didn't really get started till 8:30.
Okay.
You good?
Right. I just want to make sure on y'all time. So it was supposed to be an hour. So make sure.
We definitely started late, so we on your time.
Okay.
We on your time.
So one of the things that I was thinking about, I know I phrased the topic happily married, but I want to ask you that question. Is there a such thing as being happily married? And if so, is that even a real thing?
That's a great question. I'll start. I think that it is possible to consider yourself happily married. It depends on your definition of happy. And so I think happy looks like, for me, oh, okay. I was just like, there's a background, but I hear myself. I believe that happy for me looks like we are friends. So we're able to laugh together. We're able to play together. He's able to walk past some of my favorite happy moments with us, even though I'll never admit it in the moment, is him walking past me while I'm washing dishes or something and him slapping me on my butt. You know, really too hard, really. Let's just tell the truth about it. It's too hard. But stuff like that where he'll, you know, the lights will be out and he'll scare me. We're just friends, you know, like we want to have fun together. Having fun with our family is learning how to communicate more effectively, really figuring out I think that allows us to be happy, you know, that we're not always fussing because I figured out how to approach him, what works for me to approach him. We have a whole lot more happier days than we do not so happy days, because I'm not just insisting on coming to him my way and doing it. You know, I here it is. I'm happily married because I've become a student of my husband. Ooh! And so, yeah. So we're friends. We're teammates.
She's gonna get it tonight.
So we're friends, we're teammates, and I'm a student of him. Like there's certain, and every blue moon we'll be vibing so good. He'll be like, "How did you know that? I was just about to." He'll be like, "Oh, you good, girl, today." Those kinds of moments. And he used to say this. The last thing I'll say is, he used to say this all the time, and I did not get it the way that he got it. I didn't agree with it in the moments the way he did, but he would say, as long as our good days outweigh our bad days, and looking over, like even in a heated moment where we were not agreeing, he would say, you know what, I'm just looking at the fact that we get along more than we don't, or our good days are outweighing our bad days. And in a heated moment, I wasn't mature enough at that time to see that, but he has always done that. So that's what happy means to me.
Love it.
For me, I think if you're not happy with yourself first, then it's so hard to even know what happiness looks like.
Wow.
Right? If you haven't dealt with your ish, right? If you don't even know you got some, right? Then you just introduce your chaos and your havoc and your hell and your drama into a relationship, right? The whole idea is you gotta know who you are, in order to get to know somebody else.
Because you'll never be happy in any relationship if you're not happy with you.
Right.
That's good.
Right.
That's good.
Because I think when you learn how to be happy with yourself, well, now your place of origin, where you operate and come from, is more organic. There's truth in it. Because now I'm happy. So if I'm happy, I know there's hope. When we talk about hope, now there's hope for happiness. I'm already experiencing it, and we can experience it.
Let me say something about that, because there have been times over our 21 years where I would not be in a season of happiness. And what he said is so true. It was because I was not happy with me. Like when I have not, even within the confines of our marriage, I wouldn't always say I've personally been happy. And I don't know if I'm sure you can say you haven't.
I mean, I've always been happy with you.
Here we go.
Siobhan, her not be happy?
Can you smell what I'm smelling to be? Okay, so.
No, I haven't always. So I haven't always.
So, but I can speak for me that what you just said is so true, that there were times when I was not happy with me. So as I have come into my own and embraced who I really am and done things that I love, and I bring joy to me, it spills over into my marriage.
Yeah. And you know, makes me think about, like, I can definitely admit that when I got married, I was married before and divorced, but when I got married, I was absolutely not happy with who I was, and I was looking for my partner to bring happiness, to bring happiness and just pour it on top of my head and let it spill down. And so I know that contributed to the demise of our marriage. But I also think about those couples who may have gotten married early, young. I know you all got married in your 20s and 30s, but a couple may have got married when they were 21 and they're still trying to get to know themselves. What does it look like for a couple, or what words of wisdom would you give to a couple who got married who really didn't know themselves and now they're trying to navigate through that in the confines of marriage or in the context of marriage?
For me, my response would be framed under one word, just grace. Right? When you can learn how to extend yourself grace, if you can extend yourself grace, now you have the capacity to extend grace to others.
Wow.
Right? So when you just said about, you were looking for your husband to make you happy, just know that's something a husband cannot do.
Right. Absolutely.
A wife can't make you happy.
Right.
I mean, if you're a believer, our joy is anchored in the Lord.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it would be as simple as just understanding what grace actually looks like.
And I would just add one to that. Counseling. I will just say one word. I will say finding a good counselor. If you want to be married and you see at the core, we may not be seeing eye to eye right now. We may be growing and changing and morphing, but we're committed and want to work on it as hard as it is right now. Finding a good counselor, because here's what happens. We're not really hearing each other at some point, right? And we're not listening. We're not hearing each other. We're talking over each other. At least with a counselor, you have a mediator there so that and if you have a good one, both parties are heard and both parties are given the floor so that they have the opportunity to share openly and honestly and be heard by the other spouse. So counseling is what I would suggest.
And mentoring, being exposed to other people who are married, who are committed to working. They don't have to be happily married as long as they commit, as long as they're choosing to be married and put the work in.
Yeah, that's so good. So in this world that we're living in now, we are exposed to so much information about people. All the TMZ and Shade Room and just all about people's marriages, their relationships, when so and so broke up, when they got together. And so what would you say to a single who still desires in their heart to be married, if they believe, like you all believe, that is a part of their life's purpose, but they're seeing all of these things that almost are devaluing marriage or just making them fearful about getting married because of what they fear could happen? What words of encouragement would you give to them?
Yeah.
I would say right out the gate, be intentional to just turn down the noise. Because if it's social media, that's probably a sign you want it too much.
First,
like, because see, honestly, you could be so close to something, you just don't see it.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're 21 and you grow up in this, you're a part of this era where you live your life revolve around social media, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Just turn down the noise.
Yeah. I would add to that. I'm always hesitant to give advice to singles because I haven't been there in a long while. But for someone who desires to get married and is just discouraged by all that they see, this hurts to say, but I'm gonna just be honest. I think in this day and age, and I think you're gonna agree with me. We're gonna see in a second.
Where you going? I don't know if I am.
I know. Okay. So we about to see, because Siobhan knows this. In Real Women, we connect with a lot of women, and we have been taught over these last few years, independent woman, high standards. Don't take no crap from nobody, and I believe all of that. I believe you should want the best for yourself. But I believe that all of this that we got going on, I believe that it has left us closed to possibilities as it relates to possible mates.
Yes.
I believe we don't have an open mind and an open heart because he's too short, or you know, he doesn't drive what we want him to drive, or you know, he doesn't look the exact way we want him to look. Like there are some very and I'm not talking about everybody, but I believe that there are some very shallow reasons that keep us discouraged. Like the pickings are slim out here, and I know from my girlfriends it's hard out here if you're looking to date and get married. But I promise you, it's gonna be hard when you get married. I promise you. It's gonna be hard when you get married.
And I don't even know. I think that's subjective. What she just said, I think that's somewhat subjective.
Which part? That our standards are. I'm not saying our standards are too high. I'm not saying that. I'm saying be open. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying be open to the fact that someone who is wonderful may be around you, and you are disqualifying them for maybe minor reasons.
So here's the real thing, right? So I'm 52, right? Nikki in her mid-40s. Siobhan, you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 43.
So if we were to add up our 3 ages, divide it by 3 to get an average. So the average is probably what, 44, 45, right? So the average 45-year-old woman, if you overweight, got 2 kids,
here we go,
2 or 3 baby daddies.
What is this?
I'm just saying, right? Like,
and a man too.
So I'm just talking about a women, because I'm just talking about a woman. So we can do the same thing.
We all do
the same thing. But what I'm saying is, when a woman, if her credit score is 500, and she make $40,000 a year, and she wants somebody who breaks 6 figures with an 800 credit score, like you know what I'm saying? Sometimes and you 40 pounds overweight, like come on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm talking about. Like,
okay,
you know.
all right. You went a whole lot of ways around it to get to it, but the idea that we can't want something from somebody else that we're not bringing to the table. I got it. Yeah.
That would be fair. That would be fair.
Yeah.
I was watching something on I think YouTube, and this sister, you know, talking about, you know, she got 3 kids, and they beautiful kids, you know, and she want to be married. She got 3 baby daddies. Like right out the gate,
so it's harder.
It's going to be harder.
It is harder.
It's not impossible. It's going to be a little harder.
It's going to be harder.
It's going to be a little harder.
But
here's the oldest one. The oldest one was 10. That's real hard. If you got 3 baby daddies and they all grown.
That's different.
But I will add to that there is somebody out there who may be open to that. And we're just not. I think we're looking in certain places, looking for certain income, looking for certain, and it may be that we need to be more open. That's
I have seen that when I talk to people, when I listen to people, I do hear the unrealistic expectations or this fantasy about what it should look like without really exploring the realities or the practicalities of it. You know, I think sometimes we have these lofty goals, and I have been, you know, guilty of that. Have these lofty goals of, oh, it would be nice if I can have this. But when I really sit and think about it, like, one, do I really want that? Where did that desire come from? And then what does that look like? And then who would I need to be? You know, is who I am comparable to what I'm asking for? So it's like those exploratory type questions is what I hear you saying. Just, you know, ask those questions of ourselves.
And I think it's fair. Somebody made the comment. It's just fair that it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
It goes both ways.
So at the end of the day, it boils down to what do you want, right? So if a woman meet a dude, somebody just put in the comments 7 baby mamas. So if a dude got 7 baby mamas and you thinking about hooking up with them, all I'm gonna say is, okay, if that's what you want,
it'll be harder.
It'll be harder. But there ought to be some questions you should ask yourself. Why does somebody have 7 baby mamas?
Right.
I mean, that's just being practical.
Yeah.
Right. And what comes with that, and am I okay with what that may come with?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
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 You wanted the real. Here we go.
I love it. I'm here. But I want it.
And if he got 7 baby mamas and you got 4 baby daddies, then,
That's a big
iron sharpen iron.
Right. You have some common ground. Y'all can talk about a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So just if we were to wrap this all up in a nice little bow, and we're talking about happily married, what would you like to leave with the people as it relates to being happily married?
So I would say, I would start off by just simply saying, Siobhan, that happiness in a relationship and in a marriage is possible. It is something that you can acquire. Now, it's not like you can just go to YouTube and subscribe to it. Right. You just can't click on it and get it, like it, and you have it. You got to do the work. Right. But it is attainable. And not only is it attainable, it's sustainable. You can get it and you can sustain it if you're intentional. If you're intentional with doing so and choosing it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And I think I would add being honest from the very beginning, because what happens is in a relationship, we bring our representatives to the table, and we try to be everything we believe that person wants us to be in the beginning.
Right.
And I think the sooner we're able to be honest with each other about who we really are and what we really want out of life and what we really want out of the relationship, we weed out who doesn't fit, which one of these doesn't fit. And then we get to a more authentic place together quicker.
But you're presupposed to that is that that's the presuppose. The truth is, a lot of people get married and don't know.
So and that's a great point. That's a great point, because a final word can definitely be what we've touched on before, in addition to what we've already shared, is really just get real. Get to know yourself. Be a student of yourself before you become a student of somebody else.
That's
so
good.
and it goes back to the work that you do, Siobhan, that the most important relationship you will ever have is the one that you have with yourself. And so in getting to know who you are, you bring a healthier person to a relationship when you're working on you. So I would
Absolutely. Mary said too, she said you first have to be happy with yourself. Because you know what I realized as I was going to these different relationships, I was the common denominator. So
get out of here. What?
If it's not working, wonder who I look at, wonder who I need to talk to.
Right.
This problem keep following me everywhere I go. They got the same problem.
So I have to have a conversation with her to see what's going on.
That's so healthy. That's so healthy to see it.
Yeah.
And to identify it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So good.
So you are a lot of stuff going on, right? You have real men, real women, real relationships, leading with soul. What would you love to share with us about what you have coming up next? Anything you want to share so that people can follow, just subscribe, and all that good stuff?
So I'll say right now I'm just really tickled pink and excited about Real Relationships.
Yes.
It's a Facebook group, not just for married people, but for anybody in relationship. So I'm just really personally excited about that right now.
Yeah.
And people can connect with me directly via the Real Relationship Facebook Live.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. And so in addition to that we're really excited about growing and hosting events and everything in the near future as the world opens up for whether you are single, married, divorced, it's complicated, whatever your situation is.
Right.
We're looking forward to that for Real Relationships and Real Women Rock. Because We can be found at realwomenrock.org. And every month we host a virtual sister circle. And this coming Saturday, as a matter of fact, Saturday, April 24th, at 11 a.m. Eastern time, we are hosting it's called This Is My Story, and it's the power of your own story. How we can envy other people's stories, but there is so much power in what we have gone through and overcome. And so looking forward to having that conversation with women. That's a virtual experience for now. We have done them differently in the past, but in the season we're in, it's virtual. And also I'm on a yoga journey. It's something brand new that I've been doing. And so I invite folks to flow with us on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. And during the month of May, I'm doing an understanding and practicing yoga 101 in case you want to learn about yoga. All of that is on both of our Real Relationships Facebook page, Trenace Nikki Richardson Facebook page. You can start there.
Nice. So if you are watching, please go and see about this Real Relationships page. They share some great things in there, and they do lives in there as well, so that you can get some of these nuggets on a consistent basis and just interact with other people in the group and just grow. No matter what your relationship status is, like they said, it's just a good community to be a part of. And also Real Women, I definitely vouch for that community because I've been a part of it since the beginning for over 7 years now. And just the yoga journey that Trenace is on, being a certified yoga instructor now, and just helping people to understand, to demystify yoga. Like, it is not what people make it out to be. It can really be something that helps you to grow spiritually, individually, and all of those good things, and physically, So it's perfect to check all of the good things they have going out. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Siobhan. My last comment, I just wanted to know and let your audience know, for the month of April in our Facebook Live, our conversation this month is going to be on why do men cheat.
Oh, honey, yes, please, yes.
And women.
And women, because it's not just men. It's on both sides of the, yep. Oh, that's good. That is so good. And it's so funny. So for those tuning in, next week, we're going to be talking about why women stay in relationships when the person is a habitual cheater. So I have a therapist, Miss Sharon Fortune, who will be joining us next week. And it's going to be a great conversation. She wrote a book about it. And so we're going to dissect it. So looking forward to having that conversation. So thank you. Yeah, thank y'all so much for joining me.
Thank you, Siobhan.
Navigate through all this stuff. This was a great conversation, which I knew it was going to be. So glad we went.
Thank you.
I love y'all too. So have a wonderful night.
You too.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.